What's cracking, J-Coders? I'm J-Coding, and welcome to another video. In this video, we're going to be discussing scanf and math operators in C. So let's get into what all of that means right now. So with math operators, essentially in C, you can do mathematical operations. It's just about as simple as that. So let's create a variable called int a, and we'll set it equal to 5. Now let's create another variable called int b, and we'll set that equal to 6, and we'll create a third variable called int c, and for right now we won't set c equal to anything. Now this is something we've never seen before in this series, where we create a variable but we don't set it equal to anything. Now what that does is essentially the computer makes an empty space filled with nothing, but it knows that it'll eventually store something in that space. So now what we can do with C is, well, we can essentially put whatever we want in this. So let's go through the different math operators that we can use in C. We'll start off with a very basic one. Since we already called int C over here, we don't need to use the word int anymore, we can just use C. So we can say that C is equal to A plus B. So if we do printf and then %d comma C, and print statement, it'll print 11. Now that was the addition. We can also do this with subtraction. We can do this with multiplication. We can do this with division. Now, something you'll notice here about the division is that 5 divided by 6 gave 0. And that's because in this statement, we're dividing an integer by an integer. And what C and many other programming languages automatically do when you're dividing integers is that it truncates the decimal. So I believe 5 divided by 6 is about 0.8 with a bunch of extra decimals. However, what C automatically does is, since integer doesn't deal with any decimals, it just prints out 0. It rounds down. So A divided by B, 5 divided by 6 will equal 0. But if we change A to, let's say, 7, it'll print out 1. Because 7 divided by 6 is 1 point some decimal. The next operator we're going to use is the mod operator. So the mod operator, essentially what the mod operator does, it's also known as the modulus. It prints out the remainder, and I'll explain it in a second. So A mod B is 1. Now essentially the way we can look at it is as follows. Let me add some comments. Right? Imagine that this was 7 divided by 6. Now the way we are able to write out the exact value of 7 divided by 6 is 1 and 1/6, right? Meaning it's 1 remainder 1. That's exactly how the mod operator looks at it. It asks itself, how many times does 6 go into 7? Well, it goes in it 1 time, with how many digits remaining? 1, which is 1 and 1/6. So it'll just print out this numerator right here. So if we change the 7 back to 5, we should get 5, right? Since 5 doesn't fully go into 6, that means the only thing that's left is the remainder, meaning in reality this can actually be read as 5 divided by 6 is 0 and 5/6, meaning 5 is the remainder. Thus 5 will be printed out. The next operation we can look at is the plus plus and the minus minus operations. So what if we want to make a change to variable A, right? So we have 5 and we say, oh wait, no, in only some parts of the code we want A to be 5. However, in other parts of the code we want A to be 6. What plus plus and minus minus do is that it increments an integer by 1 or decrements the integer by 1. So if we do A plus plus, semicolon, and we print A right here, we should get the number 6. If we do A minus minus and print out A, we get 4. You might be wondering to yourself, can we do the exponent function? And the answer is, in C, no, you actually can't, meaning you have to hard code that yourself, either doing a for loop for the amount of times that you want to make a power, or you can just multiply the number by itself if you're going to square a number. But that is one of the big limitations of C. So the next thing I want to get into are various operations, right? So if we bring back let's say int c, and not set it equal to anything, and we make some more variables. Let's say int d is equal to 20, int f is equal to 100. Now we can actually do various math equations in C, where we can say, let's say there is a mathematical formula in which every time we're given A, B, D, and F, we have to perform the following mathematical formula, where let's say C is always going to be equal to, or C, which is the result, is always going to be equal to A plus B plus D divided by F. So if we run that when printing out C, we get 0. Now that's actually coming to no surprise, because if we add 5 plus 6, which is 11, and add that to 20, which is 31, 31 over 100 is definitely a decimal less than 1, and if it's a decimal less than 1 and we're using all integers, we know that C will automatically print out a 0. It'll truncate the decimal. Now some people might be wondering, what if we didn't print out C, right? What if we just took this block of code right here and put it into the print statement? Well, let's see what happens. We also get 0. So as you can see, either way you're going to get the right result. However, doing this is honestly bad coding practice, because what happens is if you have a very big coding algorithm, or you have a big algebraic algorithm, and you have to keep calculating things over and over and over again, putting the equation straight into the print statement like this will end up getting very confusing. And honestly, it's a lot to look at, when in reality you can just put the letter C, and anytime you want to use this equation, all you have to do is type C. The C language will do it for you. Alright, that's all I have for you guys today. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, hit the like button. Peace.